All right, so without further ado, I want to introduce our speaker today, Rob Krug. Rob Krug is a senior solutions architect for SonicWall. He has been in the network security space for 25 years in both private and public sector, and has extensive certifications in both networking and security disciplines, as well as all SonicWall certifications. Having designed, managed, and supported some of the most secure and vast networks imaginable, Rob has an extensive background in security, networking design, engineering, and telecommunications, and is the past SonicWall Engineer of the Year. Let's please give Rob a round of applause and invite him up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Do you want me to use the mic? Can everybody hear me, or do you want me to use the mic?
We can hear you.
All right, perfect. Mike, you want the mic? Okay, we'll use the mic. All right, so, well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. I'm very happy to be with you today. I have a lot of fun with what I do. I have been in the industry for a very, very long time. I started out as a, well, we'll tell you about how I started out. Part of my experience includes being a cryptologist for the United States Navy. So definitely been around the block a few times there, as well as in the naval intelligence. We had a nice little expression or a slogan when I was in. It was, in God we trust, and all others we monitor. That's a bit of my background. I do a lot of the live malware hacks. I do a lot of the pen testing. I do the vulnerabilities. I collect malware for fun. I have a lot of fun with this, and I demonstrate how all these viruses and bad things happen in networks and what you can do to prevent them. So certainly the number one rule today is going to be partnering with Alltek to make sure they can secure your networks and safeguard your systems from the latest threats. So with that, I'm going to talk about some of the threats that you're seeing about today. And we're going to really talk about one of the headline news to start things off. But in particular, I'm going to show you why you need to be aware of things. A few years ago, there was a nice little joke about the Internet of Things. This is about 10 years old now. And this was, can I interest you in a firewall for your toaster? All right? Everybody thought that was funny about 10 years ago. But then when they saw porn on the fridge at Lowe's, it was kind of important that you start having to put a firewall on for your toaster. It gives a new meaning to getting the munchies, right? So in this particular case, that was set up in a live at a store. Someone set that up and put it on the screen. Now, it's very easy to do things like that. I'm going to show you a couple more of them this morning. When it comes to the headline news of what's going on, it's really easy to see in the news media all the different threats, especially in the past week with the ransomware exploits from WannaCry, which I will be demonstrating live here in a few minutes. But in that particular exploit, it impacted more than 200,000 systems in more than 150 countries in less than 24 hours. And it's only the first. There's already another one this morning that is ripping up the net. So, and that one's called Eternal Brick, I think. No, Eternal Block. There's another one. All right, so we'll jump into some of that this morning. The first things first, let's talk about some of the headline news. And to start things off, I usually like to do a throwback here to one of my favorite ones that's ever happened. And that would be Ashley Madison. Was anyone a victim? Just checking, never know. Some people raised their hands, believe it or not. In this particular breach, there were 37 million men and one woman that were caught up in it, and their personal information was leaked online. And this particular element, not only were their credit card data and everything else leaked, but their email addresses, their personal data, including 15,000 .mil and .gov email accounts. That was the mother lode, because that's where the hackers actually got what they were after. The usernames, the email accounts to send a spear phishing email to that lonely individual that put an ad out there and said, hey, are you lonely? Click on this link, and the next thing you know, their system is breached. And that's how you find out where the military had all their personal information leaked online. Or the 700,000 FBI, DHS, and NSA agents that had all their personal information leaked. That's how those breaches start happening, the spear phishing campaigns, by identifying the victims that are going to click on the spear phishing email. That's exactly how those breaches take effect. How many of you are on Twitter? When was the last time you changed your password? Did you know that 32 million passwords were compromised last year on Twitter? If you haven't changed your password on a regular basis, now they've got your email address and your Twitter password. Well, now they can start sending out tweets as you, and then more importantly, how many of you are using the same password for social media? The same password for LinkedIn, the same password for Facebook, the same password for your webmail, your Gmail, your Yahoo Mail, all right? And of course, we wouldn't want to forget Yahoo. Of course, I particularly think the news on this one was that there was 1 billion accounts on Yahoo. But in that particular case, all of that information was leaked online. Not only was the usernames, the passwords, and the email addresses leaked, but so were all the security questions. Like when you say, what is my favorite color? What is my favorite food? What was my first pet's name? All that information was leaked. If you use those questions in other places and you answered them honestly, by the way, folks, your favorite color can be sushi. Your first car could be a Chihuahua. Right? You don't have to answer them honestly as long as you remember what you put for the answer. Just an FYI. Right? So, because once they get that, it's really easy to start resetting your accounts elsewhere. Next one, Amazon. How many of you have set up two-factor authentication for your Amazon accounts to make a purchase? Only a couple hands went up. When you log into Amazon, you can have the system send you a text message to make sure it is you logging in, because when was the last time Amazon forgot your credit card number? Go on there and look. It's got your past 5 or 6 credit card numbers that you've ever used on the site, and it's all cached in there. If you didn't change it, if you haven't gone in and changed your password, you may be one of the 80,000 people that were breached. All their information leaked online. Their account passwords, their account information, their purchase history, all of that leaked. Keep going on that. Any operating system, regardless of what you may hear about certain, maybe a fruit company or something else that may be considered, oh, no, viruses don't work here. Not true. There is zero-day threats, exploits, and vulnerabilities on every major operating system, including things like smart TVs, webcams, and other devices. Nice little story on this one. My neighbor is a law enforcement officer, so I don't have pictures of this. I want to show his photo. He works undercover, but he likes to play with drones. Anyone here like to play with the drones and fly them around? All right, so he and I joke each other back and forth. So he's flying his drone outside my office window one night and takes a picture of me through my blinds and texts me the picture and says, I see you. Right. So the next day I hacked his smart TV, took a picture of him watching the game and texted it to him and said, I see you too. He thought that was real funny. And he said, then he had me come over and fix it so no one else could do it. But in this particular case, how many of you have a smart TV in your living room? Yeah. Would you be worried if it watched you while you were watching it? So you want to make sure that you have those security safeguards in place, right? So that's one of the things we'll be talking about this morning. And of course, things like the webcams, where the internet was brought down, where all of Netflix, Twitter, Facebook, different websites were compromised back by around Christmas time because of a known vulnerability, how hackers took over webcams around the world and used them in the denial of service launching attack. Okay. And we start talking about how the flow of the malware keeps coming. And this is something that no company, no individual can be safeguarded against unless you actually take the steps to take those precautions. When you start looking at the number of threats, how many of you were using a computer in 1996? Besides myself. All right. So how many computer viruses existed then? Does anyone know? I'm sorry, I had it on the screen. No, 10,000. 10,000 computer viruses. I advanced it too quickly. 10,000 computer viruses existed in 1996. Right now, over 2 million a month. Brand new malware every month, more than 2 million a month. That's roughly about 40 new viruses a second of every minute of every day. I'm sorry, 40 viruses a minute of every hour of every day. At 40 new viruses a minute, you need to have safeguards in place to protect against those zero-day threats. All right, keep going with, there we go. So let's talk about how these bad guys are actually doing things. The first one's the phish. We talked about it briefly. How many of you have won the African lottery? Okay, all of us are lottery winners. Okay, so in the African lottery, that is what's called a phish. It's a wide net that you cast over an audience and try to reel them in, one at a time. People do fall for that, by the way. It's funny, right? So the next one, the big brother to this, is a spear phishing email. This is where they target you as an individual. Now, you may remember the breach of the celebrities where they had all their goodies leaked online, right? That particular breach, now I can't show you pictures from that one, but I will talk about the CEO breach. But this is a particular one where the hacker actually staked out the celebrities online, followed their Instagram, their Twitter, their Facebook, sent them an email and said, reset your iCloud password. They fall for it, they do it, and all their goodies were leaked online. In the case of the CEO wire transfer fraud, this has led to some serious money. FACC paid a hacker $54 million just by sending a fake email that said, pay this account. And they did. Ubiquity paid $47 million. Verizon, the internet carrier, Verizon, the cell phone provider, paid a hacker $3 million last year because all they did was send a fake email and they fell for it. All right, so that's where it comes into play. And it's not just the end users that are falling for this, it's the C-level executives, the business owners that are falling for it. I had one such account fall for it where I did the forensics on it. And the CFO got an email from the CEO and said, wire transfer $100,000 to Beijing. True story. He did it. Okay, does it. Then he passes the CEO in the hall the next day and said, hey, Bill, I took care of that wire transfer for you. What wire transfer? Oh, the one you told me to pay Beijing. I ain't tell you to pay Beijing. So back and forth, they find out it was a spear phish email sent to the CFO. Here's the trick. The email in the forensics, the email was in the junk folder marked as phish. The CFO unjunked it and then fell for it anyway. So in those particular cases, you really need to make sure that everyone's aware of the threats and how to identify those vulnerabilities before they fall victim to it. And all of these individuals, by the way, experience an RGE, which is a resume generating event. So just FYI, don't be them. The next one, social engineering. Social engineering is the first chapter in how to be a hacker. This is how hackers trick you into believing what you see, what you hear for the first time. Human beings are programmed to believe that by default. The first time you hear or see something, you will believe it. That's the way you are. Unless you're extremely skeptical and a very untrusting individual. Now, in this particular case, and this is a true story, where Mike is working at Animal Control, gets a phone call from Joe, the hacker, and says, hey, Mike, I'm responsible for fixing all the PCs in the county. And he said, I see a problem on your laptop. I'm going to send you a log me in request. I'm going to take care of that for you. Mike says, okay. Joe gets on the PC. Joe's a hacker. He takes apart the entire network in 45 minutes. It's a flat county network. Nobody was paying attention. And the only reason the hack stopped after 45 minutes because Mike was union and closed the laptop. In that particular breach, the entire county had to pay $250,000 to repair the damages. That was a county in South Florida. I won't say which one, but it actually did, that's a true story. When it comes to social engineering, when it comes to the hack, when it comes to tricking your minds, it's a way of understanding certain things, the way the mind works. Now, I said I was a cryptologist, so I use math-based jokes and analogies to actually get there. But in this particular case, if you guys are ready for it, I'm going to hack all your minds real quick. Is everybody ready? Right. I want you to pick a number between 1 and 10. I want you to take that number and multiply it times 9. Everybody good? Are you sure? I can pull, all right, let's make sure. You gonna break out a calculator? All right, so if everybody's there, I want you, if you got a 2-digit answer, if your answer was 2 digits, I want you to add the first and second digit together. Everybody good? Add the number 4 to that. Everybody in the room should be at 13 with me. Okay. So that's the same way that social engineering hack works. I know certain things about you. I don't care where you started, but I got you right where I wanted you to. That's exactly what the spear phish, that's exactly what the social engineering does. It's a hack, it's a con, it's making you believe something. It's walking into a business with a logo on my shirt and pretending to be something I'm not. And for that one, I actually did a little experiment hacking the election. I was really ahead of the curve when I did this last year. I didn't realize that because it caused so many problems. But I did set up a fake news website. I was really ahead of the curve on that one. I set up a fake website. You're welcome to go to it. It's called instantkarmanews.com. How appropriate. And when you log onto this site, obviously there's some political icons there, some clickbait, courtesy of a real news site. And on this particular site, if you click on any of these links or you stay on the site for 3 seconds, oh, you get this. You've been hacked. That's called a waterhole attack. I tricked you to go where I wanted you to go, and then I breached your system just by visiting the page. That's all it takes. That's all it takes to compromise a system. And this particular one, all I had to do now was get people to go to the site. So how did I make it go viral? Well, no pun intended. All right? I sent out a fake tweet with a fake Twitter account. I actually sent it to the Associated Press, to Hillary, to Clinton, to Donald, to Cybersecurity, Dancing with the Stars, the Associated Press, etc. I said, don't click on this. What do? They click on it. And 241 victims in 20 minutes. If I was a bad guy, right? I'm an ethical hacker until the economy changes. But when it comes to this, if I was serving up ransomware like WannaCry with a nice hefty price tag and I was only 50% successful, I could have made as much as $80,000 in 20 minutes. That's why we're all thinking right now we're in the wrong business, right? So, in this particular case, that's exactly what the hackers are chasing. They're after your money. It's really that simple. And when it comes to actually setting up the different security sets like spyware and inspecting for devices stealing your information, we've all heard about the different devices, how people are spying on you through your mobile devices. Well, it actually does happen. How many of you have covered up the camera on your laptop with a piece of tape? Did anyone cover up the mic? It can still hear you, all right? Just because you cover up the actual speaker, the actual camera, does not mean you're covering up the mic, including your kids' toys, like the Cloud Pets that were eavesdropping, or the Barbie doll last Christmas that was eavesdropping on everything going on in your home and uploading it to an unsecured server. or your smart TV, or your smart devices, or your smartphone. It's all simple on how that actually happens. Then the water hole attack. This is another common method for hackers. This is not a mythical play on words. It's simply an analogy based on a hacker being the crocodile and staking out a legitimate website, or AKA the water pond. I wait for you, the zebra, to come down and get a drink of water. When you come to the site, I hit you and I take you under. That's exactly what the croc does. Here's the kicker. The famous last words for this particular one is, I don't have anything to worry about. I don't go to bad websites. First off, if you say you don't go to bad websites, you're lying. Second, if you do actually go to a legitimate website, you can still be compromised. Just to give you an idea, how many of you have been to speedtest.net? That website was compromised from January 2013 through March 2013. If you went to the website, you got a keylogger installed on your computer. Recorded every keystroke you entered. How many of you have been to TimeMagazine.com? Have you been to NewYorkTimes.com? All those sites, MSNBC.com, have been compromised by waterhole attacks where all you have to do is visit the site and you get infected. That's it. Just visit the site and you get infected. It's that simple. It's called a waterhole attack. It's very easy to do. In fact, I'm going to demonstrate exactly how it works. In this particular case, I'm going to show you the third-party website. You don't exactly know where you're going, the way the internet actually works. I'll give you a peek behind the curtain here. In this particular video, first before I hit, it's playing. So in this particular one, how many of you have ever been online, Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, etc., and then you go over to Yahoo or Fox News, and you see an ad for the product you were just looking at? It's not a popular product. They're following your clicks. They're tracking you. This is exactly how it happens. I load up one particular website. I'm using a utility called Lightbeam. I load up one website and went to Facebook, and notice I'm already touching 3 servers. Now, I'm going to go to another little website here, little harmless one, msnbc.com. It's kind of so harmless, right? I go back to Lightbeam, and just going to that one page, I'm at 20 sites and counting. My PC reached out and pulled content from 20 different servers on the web. And it keeps climbing, 23, 24, 26, 27. I'm not even clicking on anything. It's loading more and more content from all over the globe. Some of these sites are not even in continental US. They're in Singapore, they're in Ukraine, they're in Romania, they're in Turkey, they're in China. It's pulling content from those sites and delivering it to your PC. What's it delivering? What's it giving you? What's it providing you? What code is coming down to your system? This is where the waterhole attack comes in. I don't have to hack MSNBC. Not hard. All I have to do is compromise a little itty bitty mom and pop site and serve malware back to you when you load the legitimate page. That's how the breaches take place. Okay? And when they do get the breach, then they load your personal data on the dark web. How many of you have been to the dark web? I don't advise anyone to go there. There are things on this particular, the dark web is real, by the way. It's not a mythical made-up thing in the press. It is a legitimate place. You do not want to go there. There are things that the human mind cannot unsee. I personally use Scotch to control Alt Delete in those particular moments. In that particular case, literally, there's anything you want on the dark web, including human trafficking, weapons, drugs, paraphernalia, you name it. We'll jump into some of it. I'm going to show you the harmless slides on this one. So in this particular one, how you get there, you jump on the Onion network. You can use a browser like the Tor browser to get on it. Once you're installed and you're up and running on the dark web, well, here you're one of these little blue dots. This is a live representation of the actual traffic on the dark web. You can see it just absolutely flowing. This is any time of the day, you can see how much traffic is on it. Once you're on here and you're actually looking at the traffic, well, you can find anything you want. Nice little search engine here. It can show you want to rent a hacker, you want to buy currency, the whole nine. We can go on, we can get any kind of drug we want. In California, they didn't really get a kick out of this part because it's California, they can already get it. But in this case, you can actually see, you can go have weed delivered to your house, ecstasy, marijuana, coke, whatever you want. Automatic, just have it just shipped to your home. Literally, it's that simple. All right, now the shipping might be a little bit of a trick, but you get the product that you're looking for. You want a credit card number? Not a problem. Really simple. Here's the credit card number, the zip code, everything associated with that number. And I can buy them in bulk, thousands and thousands and thousands of them if I wanted. Right? It's actually so cheap that it only costs $10 to buy a stolen credit card online. How do you buy a stolen credit card online? You use a stolen credit card. All right, and when it also comes in there, you can actually get them from all the skimmers. That's where they're actually getting from the gas pumps, skimmers. How many of you have ever been a victim of that? All right? A little word of advice, don't use your debit card at the pumps. Use a credit card. You got 30 days to complain, right? Debit card, you got 4 hours typically with some banks, just FYI. You can buy a passport from any country on the planet. You want to be a citizen of Turkey? You can do that. It's a matter of just going online and buying it. You want to be an Ohio driver's license or Ohio social security number? Not a problem. You simply order the numbers, there they are. There's a sample set right online. You can get the social security number, the date of birth, driver's license, whatever you need, a click away. It keeps getting a little worse here. You can rent a hacker, I'm cheaper, but you can go on here and find any kind of hacker or for breaching social media accounts, or even doing things like joining ISIS is on there. If you wanted to do something like that, they have a nice little representation on there. Of course, you can hire someone to ruin someone's life. It's kind of an interesting one. And then, of course, it gets worse. You can hire a contract killer. Of course, no fish too big, no job too small. Hitman does it all. I did get a kick out of this particular one because it's got the bucket. You can keep adding more to it. They did have scruples, though. No children under 16, no top 10 politician. But that's literally what their rules. You can pay them 16 Bitcoins, roughly. Was that about $12,000 right now? It was about $5,000 last year. But in that particular case, you pay about $5 to $10 grand, have someone bumped off. It's really that simple. All right, so let's talk about another way that hackers get into your network. And this one, are there any lawyers in the room? Yeah. There are. Okay, put your finger in your ear first. No. All right, so in this particular case, it's the litigation. And this is not necessarily a vulnerability to the network. This is something you want to protect against because, as we all know, we live in what's referred to as the offended generation. So we want to make sure that we're not giving ammunition to pesky litigation because what happens, no offense, who gets paid in the litigation? The lawyers, right? So you want to just be careful there. Sorry, guys. I have to pick on somebody, right? Sorry. So in this particular case, I want you to answer this question for me. How many of you would rather show your friends and family your entire internet search history or live near an active volcano? More people chose to live near the active volcano than to show their friends and family their search history. Why is that? Well, they're doing things they're not supposed to, right? So maybe like this guy, live news broadcast commentator. Look at the guy in the back. He's doing a little something he shouldn't supposed to. This is live TV. He's on Ashley Madison or something back there while this guy's talking online. His boss sees it. You can see his boss looking like, what's that I'm seeing in the background? And before you know it, somebody sees it. They're offended. It's too late. He's busted on live TV. He can't change it. And then in come the lawyers, right? Because somebody got offended. Imagine this happening. Anyone in education? Anyone K through 12? Imagine this happening if I do a presentation like this at a K through 12 and up pops a streaming porn website instead of the presentation because my PC had been infected. All right, that happens kind of a little bit in some schools, right? And that's obviously a bad thing because obviously now you got the media camped out and everyone's upset and so on and so forth. That's not a good thing to happen. And it gets to the point that content filtering has actually become a joke where they says a good friend will be at your funeral, a best friend will miss it because he's too busy breaking into your house and cleaning out your browser history. Right? That's literally what it's become. So you want to prevent those things from popping up in inappropriate locations. Right? So you don't have to worry about those potential vulnerability for litigation. And just how easy is it really to break into a network? So I'm going to give you some demonstrations on how easy it is to break in. So the first one here, how many of you have been to Starbucks or Chick-fil-A or Burger King and jumped on open Wi-Fi? How many of you are on the open Wi-Fi right now? All right, good. That means people are learning. In this particular case, if you happen to ever have done this, if you ever jumped on the open Wi-Fi at Starbucks, per se, and you're sitting around, have you ever noticed what everyone else is doing on their screens? You see all those people there with all their laptops and gadgets, etc. Have you ever paid attention to what they're doing on their screens? Did you see this guy in the background? Actually wearing a hacker t-shirt in Starbucks, hacking everybody in the building. I had set up fake banking websites that waited for someone to pay their mortgage at Starbucks. It was really simple to do. Had everybody log into my laptop instead of wellsfargo.com and try to pay their mortgage. I said, who's trying to pay their mortgage? Guy raises his hand. I said, sir, I am a hacker. I have stolen your information. He freaked out. He was about to get in a fight. He says, no, calm down. I'm an ethical hacker. I'm going to delete everything right now. Go change all your passwords. This is how I did it. This is why you should never log onto your personal information websites on an open Wi-Fi. And that's exactly why. He actually had a kick out of it, thanked me, bought me the coffee, and took the picture for me. In this particular case, I'm actually running different programs on a laptop. This is really easy software to get it. It's free to get. Being a hacker these days is a lot easier when I first started, where you had to actually understand the code and how everything worked. Now you can go online, download some software, watch a YouTube video, and now you're anonymous. I'm not joking, 30 minutes. There's a guide online right now. You want to make your own ransomware? It takes about 60 minutes to be up and running. That's how easy, and you don't have to have any background in this. But in this program, I'm downloading these programs here. I'm actually can see everything that's going on in the building on everybody's terminal. I'm using what's called a Wi-Fi Pineapple, and you can use a different hardware device. You can turn your cell phone into one of these devices. And once it's up and running, I can see everything that's going on as people connect to my network. I've turned myself into AT&T Wi-Fi. It's really simple to do. How many of you have ever joined AT&T Wi-Fi? I know some of you have. All right, if you've ever joined it, guess what? Your mobile device that you joined with, your phone, your tablet, your iPad, etc., it didn't forget the connection, meaning it's still trusted on your device. If I turn on AT&T Wi-Fi right now, your device will connect to mine, and I'll be able to intercept your messages and see everything that you're doing. In this particular case, I set this up in a hotel room, and I actually can see everything that's going on in all the rooms around me, probably one room in each direction based on the signal. You'd be surprised what people click on when they're in a hotel room. And once they're on the network, if they're logged into corporate, if they're logged into their office, I can see all that traffic as well. Next one is Curiosity Kills. How many of you use these little guys? Thumb drives. They're fun. They're a lot of fun, especially when you buy a bunch online and you load them up with some interesting files called, for those who can't read the eye chart, checking access, financing accounts, wife pics, XXX pics. You load these files up, you put them on the thumb drive. If you click on any of these files, you get a nice little "you've been hacked" warning website. But then you take these thumb drives and you drop them around town. Right? You drop these thumb drives in the Starbucks restroom. I love to pick on Starbucks. And the napkin display, right? Out in the parking lot, on a picnic table, inside an airport, a business park, at a hotel. Leave them on the table as you get up and leave. And then you wait and see how many of them phone home. Well, I did a little live experiment. I dropped 30 thumb drives and then recorded that information. After 5 days, I had 67 hits in 5 days. Now, that was 67 victims that picked up a thumb drive that they didn't know where it came from and plugged it into their computer and then clicked on files. Actually, it was actually 63. One of the individuals clicked on all 4 files. So you really can't fix stupid. In that particular case, 67 hits in 5 days. And that was a really low cost. Another, again, $30, I could have collected $100,000 in malware, in ransomware, or exfiltrated data, or stolen your personal intellectual property. It's that simple. Making sure that you're preventing these kinds of devices from connecting to your network untrusted is very important. Let's talk about a little truth is stranger than fiction here. You guys have probably seen some of the latest movies coming out of Hollywood where they talk about things like Black Hat. I don't know if anyone saw this movie. I didn't really want to see it. My wife made me go because it's got Thor in it. And it's basically, he's a hacker in this movie. Did anyone actually see it, or was I the only one in the audience? Okay, all right. So it was an okay movie. So I'm definitely not going to give you any spoiler alert here. All right, so in this particular case, he goes in and actually in one of the scenes here was pretty cool. He has his girlfriend dressed up in a pretty white dress. She goes into a bank, talks to the security guard, and says, "Hey, I spilled coffee on my report. Can you help me out and print out another copy for me?" Well, I'm really not supposed to, but okay. He plugs the thumb drive into the computer and prints out the report. I thought that was very interesting. So I thought I would try it in real life, except I play the part of the girl in the white dress. Because he plugged in a thumb drive, Thor breaks into the bank and steals the money. In this particular case, again, in order to demonstrate it as the girl in the white dress, I got myself a pair of spy sunglasses. Very cheap, about $20 on Amazon. It's got a little HD camera in the bridge of the nose. It's very obvious here, but in real life, it's just a pinhole. You can't even see it. I put those on the shirt, and then I walked in with a thumb drive to a bunch of different businesses. Right? Including doctor's offices, law firms, real estate offices, and even a bank. And in 20 different offices, I only got turned away twice. 18 businesses took the thumb drive and plugged it into a computer and printed out the file, including the bank. I had one of them was the doctor's office, and the young lady behind the desk, I actually made the video of her because she actually asked me a very important question. Is it a virus? She asked me. She had some form of cybersecurity awareness. She asked me, is it a virus? Yeah, no, it's not a virus. It's perfectly safe. Plug it in. She took the thumb drive and she said, okay, here you go, and then printed it out for me, no problems. Now, there were several other victims in this particular network, including including a security guard that wouldn't let me into the building. One of the buildings I went to, I didn't have an appointment, couldn't name any businesses there, so she actually printed it out for me at the security desk. So it was kind of helpful at that point. Including a community bank. I won't say which one. I did all this in Tampa, by the way, so it was actually a fun day. So consider this real quick. When you start thinking about security in your own networks, I'm going to make it get a little personal real quick because it's a lot more fun when you actually apply this to your own lives. And I want you to think about your own networks, whether it be your home or your business. And you want to ask yourself this question: is your network at risk? Well, yeah, obviously believe that it is. Play devil's advocate and consider what it would take to breach your own security. What would it take to get there? It's really not as hard or complex as you think if you haven't followed some best practices. Where are the threats coming from? Is it a hacker online attacking your business, a denial of service attack, stealing, going after your intellectual property? Or is it something internal, like a hacker or a threat on the inside, malware, spyware, already in your network? Do you know what's already in your network? Do you know all the applications that are running on all your systems? Are hackers already in your network? Are you sure? How do you know? You want to make sure you're able to inspect and block against these particular vulnerabilities. And when we start talking about it, I want you to consider this. How many of you have pumped gas in the past 24 hours? Okay. How many of you have touched a handle in the bathroom? Yep. Touched the lock on the bathroom door? Yep. The TV remote control in a hotel room. Let's imagine that one real quick, what everyone else was doing with that TV remote control before you got there. Okay, I hate to do that while you're eating, I know. But in this particular case, I don't always wipe down my gym equipment unless someone else is watching. All right, so when you're traveling and things like that, I want you to think about all those germy surfaces that you touched. What about the networks that you're touching with your PCs, your devices, your phones, your tablets? Those are just as contaminated as all the things I just showed you here. How many of you use Perel after the fact with touching those surfaces? All right. How many of you, I personally keep a bottle of Perel in the car door after I pump gas. There we go. Back in the car, I keep on driving. All right. Life hack for the TV remote control, put the ice bag and the ice bucket around the TV remote control like a glove. Works like a champ. Just FYI. All right, so in that case, all those devices that are touching those networks and then bringing them back into your office is the same way the germs pass to your trusted devices, to your internal networks. And then, of course, that's where your cookie jar is. You want to make sure that your hands are using the Perel before they go in your cookie jar, before that device comes into your network and puts into your trusted network where you keep your cookies. You want to make sure there's no germs going in your cookies. You want to treat that like your data and make sure it's nice and locked up. We start talking about the different breaches that I've showed you with the thumb drives, with the Wi-Fi hacks. This individual was classic. He left his laptop unlocked in front of me at a Panera Bread. That was brilliant. I'm sitting there working, and there he gets up and walks away for 10 minutes, left all his devices right there. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, I left him a note and said, give me a call. You have issues. And of course, where the ports and different connectivity is in your office, how these different things are touching your lives and your networks, understanding how these different devices reach back into your server center or your data, wherever you keep your files. Right? And when you start talking about the connected threat of how all this relates, think about this real quick. How many of you have home automation systems or intelligent homes, security cameras in your home, outside your home, etc.? Not many. Okay, not many. All right, so in that particular case, I'm going to show you how easy it is to touch some of these people directly where they live. In this particular case, I'm going to show you how to breach a Samsung door lock. They have the door locks. One of my neighbors has it where he actually can unlock his front door with his phone. Well, I was able to capture his information and do it for him whenever he wants or doesn't want. So I can actually do that. It's really simple to do with the home automation things. And then, of course, it gets worse when you start talking about the different devices that are out there. When we talk about things like the WannaCry virus, I'm going to show you that one in just a moment. But when you start talking about all your computers and everything online, that information's tracked. Hackers can easily go online and find out things like home automation systems, security cameras, security systems, find out what you're using. And then from there, it's real simple to find all the default usernames and passwords of all those devices. It's very easy to go online and log into one. I did this live, by the way. This is fun. So I logged into a home security automation system. I was able to bring up the security footage of someone's home live. I'm able to see in their garage and see their cars in their garage. I could see what's on their back porch. This is all a live streaming video directly from someone's back porch. I could see if they're grilling out. Or if maybe by chance the husband and wife are having breakfast at the Nook. That's live from someone's home. I have no idea whose home it is, so I'll probably run into them one day. But at that point, I can actually see what's going on inside. Or maybe someone washing their dishes. And not only can I see them washing their dishes, I can see the other devices like the Amazon Echo running there in the background. I can see what's going on. I can see she's home alone washing her dishes. Well, then it's real simple to find out where she's at. I just reached out and touched somebody virtually. All of you probably got the heebie-jeebies after that one. So I'm really not normally that scary. That was just for fun. But you can literally, it's easy for hackers to do this. So not only can they target your systems, your data, they can target you. How many of you have a, actually I won't ask that question. Another question. How many of you have safeguards in your home for intrusion? All right, for physical intrusion, all right? Have you thought about something like that? Someone driving down the street and able to see everything that's going on in your house from the street. Like me accessing my neighbor's smart TV. Or my neighbor on the other side, his LG smart fridge. That's my neighbor's fridge. I was able to access it and actually bring up the screen on my laptop. And then I put a message, hey George, how you doing? But I can actually add messages like that. It's really simple to do. And the hackers can do that. All they have to do is drive around. You can do it from your phone. It's really simple. You want to make sure you have those safeguards in place in your home, your office, your personal and professional lives. And we talk about securing the breach and preventing the breach from happening. It gets it's really actually a little easier than most think. You definitely want to have someone that understands the threats and understands the networks and stays on top of the threats like Alltek. You definitely want to have that in place because when you start talking about things like the WannaCry virus, how many of you, did anyone get hit by this one? No one saw it? How many of you have actually had to face ransomware in the past couple of years? Anyone have that? All right. So not much has changed with the ransomware exploit itself of WannaCry. I'll spend a few minutes talking about it specifically. Again, it hit over 200,000 systems in 24 hours in over 150 countries. And it's not the ransomware that was dangerous on this one. It was the exploit called Eternal Blue. Now that may have been allegedly released by the NSA, stolen by hacker groups and released online. We'll just leave that as alleged. I know, being naval intelligence, I know no such thing, right? There's no such agency. So we'll leave that one alone. But it actually caused real critical issues around the globe, especially in the UK, by actually blocking some of the hospitals from being able to perform procedures. This is all real. This has all happened in the past couple of weeks. It's happening now with new versions of it. In this particular case, the reason that it was so dangerous was because it was using an exploit called Eternal Blue that allowed it to act as a worm and spread through the entire network. So not only is WannaCry one of the fastest ransomwares out there, it actually used the worm to propagate directly across the network. Here's WannaCry live and in person. I'll actually show you it actually running and how quickly it encrypts a system. So this, again, I collect stuff like this for fun. Don't be like me unless you're ready, because you do find crazy stuff. So this is just a Windows 10 PC. By the way, WannaCry works on every version of Windows, XP and on. There's none of them were safe. So on here I go in, there's my pictures. This is just a sample PC. I'm gonna go ahead and close that out there. And I'm gonna go to a spear phishing email that has WannaCry in it. I log into my Gmail account. This is Gmail, that's Google. Oh, I trust that. Do you? Let's see how well you trust it. I log in, I go see a nice little email here. It says, oh, ransomware, WannaCry decryption tool. Okay, it's from my buddy John. I trust John. John's my friend. I'm gonna say, hey, John gave me this really cool file. I'm gonna click on this file and download it from John. Right? So he sent the little spear phishing email. Again, it's an HTTPS website. Make sure you have that encrypted traffic being looked at. I'm gonna go ahead and download the file and save it. And then this is exactly what everybody experienced a couple weeks ago. They download the file, and it wasn't as obvious as this, WannaCry.exe. It was much more, trickery involved. Run the file. It's already gone. It's already detonated on the system. It only took a few seconds. It's one of the fastest ones that I've personally seen. I'm going to bring up my My Documents folder here. I've closed my browser. I'm bringing up my folder. I go to My Downloads. All my files have already been encrypted, just in a few seconds. It's already started encrypting all the files of my hard drive. I go over to My Documents folder. You'll get the pop-up here. And if you've ever seen a screen like this, you know it's a bad day, because your next question is, how good is your backup? Because you really don't want to pay the bad guys $600 to get your files back. And it comes in here, I go and look at all my documents, everything's encrypted, I can't open any of my files, everything is now being held for ransom by the bad guys. That's exactly how that worked. All right? It locks up your data. Now, WannaCry is one of thousands of ransomware exploits. The reason that it became popular is, again, because of the worm. I'll show you that in just a second. But literally, this you only a certain amount of time left, otherwise you don't get your data back. Right? So you really want to be, again, take the precautions of blocking it. You can't even open your picture files. You can see the thumbnail, but if I try to open the picture itself, I can't even see it. Everything is now locked up. It's being held for ransom. That's what ransomware is. Now, with a SonicWall solution managed by Alltek, of course, it works a little something like this. Same exact system, same Windows 10 system, same Windows Edge browser. I'm going to log back into Gmail. I'm going to go and download that same exact file. Same one. Click on the file. Notice, try to save it here, and it's going to say the file could not be downloaded. It was stopped. Why it stopped it? Okay, let's refresh the screen here, pull that up. I got to work on my timing on that video just a tad. Click on that again, and there is the SonicWall Gateway Antivirus blocking that file before it came down. Now, you'll notice there's a little 6 here, number 6 at the end. There's already more than 20 versions of WannaCry, more than 20 different signatures. And some of these actually turn your local antivirus client off. So those in the room that are saying, oh, I've got Symantec, oh, I got Kaspersky, oh, I got this, I got that, it's going to block it. That's one layer of security. You want to make sure you have multiple layers, because a lot of these new exploits, the first 20 lines of code in the virus, I kid you not, is turn off all the different antivirus clients. They turn it off and disable it from running. Right? So that's where that's actually being blocked by the SonicWall before it gets in the network. And of course, we actually have a 0-day threat prevention model in the firewall that detonates files we've never seen before. So even if we don't know what it is, we can figure it out, make sure it's not malicious before it gets downloaded into your network. That's all automated. You don't have to do anything. It runs in the firewall in the cloud, and you're protected. Right? And we talk about how the ransomware of WannaCry spread so quickly. It worked a little bit like this. In your typical network, many of you may recognize this as being similar to your own network. You have your internet connection, your firewall, your switch, your server, and your workstations. Right? Everything's plugged into a switch in your office, right? Everything's mapped to it, and then you see all these users are all working, right? Well, Timmy wasn't paying attention, and he got a nice little spear phishing email, and he said, oh, I trust this email, I'm going to click on it. Well, he clicks on it, and the ransomware detonates on his system. Here's what made WannaCry so bad. As soon as Timmy launches it and it encrypts his system, a worm using the Eternal Blue, which executed on any Windows PC, it attacked a buffer overflow 0-day vulnerability on SMB, attacked all the different Windows operating systems, and immediately spreads through the entire network and infects every other Windows PC in the network in a matter of minutes. Now you can see in large-scale networks and telecommunications and hospitals and other systems where this spread like wildfire just through the entire network in just a matter of minutes. Even users that were connecting in, hey, John, we got a problem on our computers. We need you to help out. So John would log in using his Windows PC from home to log in. The IT guy would log in, and he would connect into VPN. And guess what? Because he was a mapped network client into the server, the virus would immediately launch on his PC as well. That's why WannaCry was so popular, or so epidemic, if you will. That's why it spread so quickly through EU and the US. Even my son's high school up by where I live, up in Wikiwachi, they showed up Monday morning on the 15th, and everybody's systems had been compromised. Every PC in the school had been locked up with WannaCry. So literally, this is how those kinds of malware spread online. And it's not just in local networks. This vulnerability spread across the internet and over 2 million systems that were just open to the World Wide Web. No firewall, no security in place, just absolutely spread like wildfire. That's one of the reasons it was so epidemic, like a pandemic, if you will, and spread across the entire internet. To protect against threats like this, it requires a couple of things. First, you have to change your network architecture. And this is where Alltek and SonicWall come in. We can help protect against it. By changing the architecture around so that the SonicWall is the core of your network. It is the centerpiece. It inspects the traffic that goes from your workstations to your servers, to your wireless devices and your VPN users. Everything must pass through the SonicWall and be inspected and then get protected. And that's where Alltek can come in and help you manage and implement this kind of solution. Right, so definitely something you want to consider. This is basically referred to as network segmentation, and this would block things like those worms from executing. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get to the closing section, and we'll jump into some Q&A. But in closing, remember to always leverage a true security solution. That ain't it. That will not keep viruses out of your network. All right? You want to make sure you're not doing silly things like setting your password to incorrect so that when you get the system wrong and it says your password is incorrect, that doesn't work too well. All right? So you want to make sure you're leveraging two-factor security and other solutions in place. Make sure you install True Security. You want to keep people out. Just helpful there. When you install security solutions, make sure you install them in the correct place. They don't do you much good when they can't see what's going on in the network. Never install a security solution for your security solution. Doesn't work out well. And while many disagree with this, I don't always get the funding I need, but I usually do after a breach. Don't be this guy. All right? City of Fort Lauderdale. You may remember this, if anyone's read this in the paper. City of Fort Lauderdale passed a law, and this law was don't feed the homeless on the beach in front of the five-star resorts. Well, Anonymous didn't take too kindly, you can't do that. So Anonymous attacked the city. They bombarded the city network, took it apart. And after 3 days, the mayor reversed the law. That's literally how serious it got. Now, not only did the Anonymous break down the city network, they compromised all the data to the point that it cost the city more than $500,000 to fix the damage. And true story, it's all over. You can look at all the newspapers from 2015. Now, had they done security correctly up front and set up the proper methods and best practices, it would have been less than $80,000. So doing it the right way the first time actually does apply to some things in life. Right? Doing it the right way, taking the extra steps, make sure the safeguards are turned on, make sure your security is turned on, actually kind of helps. It actually saves yourself a lot more money after the breach. Right? And of course, with the SonicWall solution, with Alltek managing it, you're certainly going to get kind of security like this. Anyone saw that movie? Nothing gets through, right? It's going to block it, and that would be Chuck Norris approved. Right? So, and in closing, I'm going to show you just how good the SonicWall is. I talked kind of extensively about my background, or a little bit about my background. I won't tell you everything. Some of it I can't tell you for another 60-something years. Statute of limitations, a couple other things. All right, so in that particular case, I'm going to show you exactly how easy, the only way to breach a SonicWall solution. I hunt down exploits, I play with things, I go to the conferences, I do keynotes in Vegas, I go to the Black Hat events and the DEF CON events where we do Spot the Fed and other fun games. I'm not kidding, that's a true game. In those particular elements, I collect these exploits and malware and stuff for fun, and then I see what they do, right? I did find one that works on a SonicWall. Unfortunately, it's the only one that actually works on a SonicWall appliance, so that's actually a good thing. And we actually released a notification about it to make sure that everyone are protected against this one. And don't try this at home, folks. I am an ethical hacker, so I am certifiable. Maybe is a better approach. And with that, hello everyone. I'm Rob Krug, and I'm here to demonstrate the latest security breach that I believe is the only one that will get through a Dell SonicWall appliance. For those that know me, they will come to no surprise that I practice with the latest in exploits, trojans, ransomware, exploit kits designed to breach next generation security. In all of that research, I've never found one to actually get through the SonicWall appliance until today. I call that breach the Mossberg Tactical Breach. It works a little bit like this. You acquire your target. You load your payload. You decimate the firewall. Any questions? That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Any questions about security in your network or in your personal lives? Anything that we can help answer or solve the riddles on? Nope? All right. Thank you very much for your time, folks. I really appreciate it. And make sure you follow up with your Alltek team.